So, firstly, my name is Siqi Deng from Tokyo Tech. Actually, right now, our university changed our name is Science Tokyo. So, today I want to talk about my research contents. It's about EVD plasma sulfonation of carbon material for enhanced catalytic performance. People here might not familiar with this topic. Plasma is not referred to the blood through our body. It's a four fundamental state of matter, except liquid, gas, and solid. The carbon sulfonation, similar with oxidation of the carbon material, it's instead of add the COOH and OH functional group on the carbon surface, the sulfonation process is mainly add the sulfonic group on the carbon surface. It's SO3H functional group. So this is my today's content. And firstly, I will introduce the research background. As we all know, the global warming is the most crucial problem in the world, and renewable energy is really needed. The biomass energy is one of the renewable resources, and cellulose is the most abundant and non-edible biomass in the world. Cellulose can be turned into the biomass ethanol through this process enable a catalyst. Compared to the conventional catalyst, which is sulfuric acid, which is non-recyclable and highly corrosive, the sulfonated carbon catalyst has its advantages such as easy of product separation, low reactor corrosion, and good recyclability. So the sulfonated carbon catalyst is widely used in industry for the biomass transformation. Although sulfonated carbon catalyst exhibit promising results on the biomass transformation, the conventional method for producing the sulfonated carbon catalyst requires strict conditions, as shown here. It requires highly concentrated sulfuric acid with hours of treatment time at very high temperature. And in plasma technique is exhibit several advantages such as fast processing, low cost, low temperature compared to the conventional chemical reaction. So in our previous research, we developed a plasma sulfonation technique by these two kinds of plasma technique. One is a plasma generated above the solution. Another one is a plasma generated inside the solution. Both of them are just require 1 mole per liter sulfuric acid with half an hour of treatment time at room temperature. And the acid density used our plasma technique is comparable compared to the conventional method. So as I introduced in the previous page, we use plasma liquid interaction to produce a sulfonated carbon material. I will briefly introduce the type of plasma discharge with liquid and the RNS generation by this plasma liquid interaction. So we have several types of plasma liquid interaction. This one is plasma directly contact with liquid, and the three are plasma generated above the liquid, and this one is a multi-phase of plasma discharge. When the plasma directly discharge with liquid, we need a very high breakdown voltage, in this type, the plasma technique can generate highest OH radical production. And the three, as you can see, we can modify the contact area of the plasma liquid surface, so we can change the active species production selectivity. And the last is a multi-phase plasma discharge. It could maximum of the efficiency of the active species transfer to the liquid because it can maximum of the contact area between the plasma with liquid interaction. And here shows the detail of the active species generated by the plasma liquid interaction. You can see that O radical, OH radical, and some other nitrogen containing active species can be generated by the plasma discharge. So this kind of oxygen containing active species could be used for several applications by the plasma technique like water treatment or some dye decomposition, surfactant decomposition by the plasma discharge. And here's my research purpose. It's the goal of this research is by using the gas-liquid interfacial plasma technique, we can sulfonate amount of carbon material in a short time under room temperature, conditioned by the dilute sulfuric acid. In our previous research, we used multi-needle to generate the plasma between the liquid and needle. So you can see the contact area is limited because the plasma only generated between each needle and the liquid surface. So we try to think about how to enhance its efficiency, and then we think about how to enhance the contact area. However, because 1 mole per liter sulfuric acid, the conductivity is very high, it's around 40 millisiemens per centimeter. So it's very difficult to generate the surface discharge above this sulfuric acid. Then we consider to use this DBD plasma discharge with weight carbon. This is my experimental setup. Firstly, the power source is AC power source. And the plasma reactor is contain the 2 glass and 2 metal electron and a weight carbon. What means weight carbon is just use 10 milliliter sulfuric acid solution to get weight to make the carbon material get weight, and put the carbon material inside of between these 2 glass plates and applied high voltage on the above glass plate. Then the plasma will generate it between this glass plate, just like in this video. Just like this figure, and there is no video. So in this case, the plasma could touch the carbon material directly. Then will maximize the efficiency that active species transfer to the carbon material. So we think in this reactor, we could generate more higher functional group density on carbon material. And this is a voltage and current waveform, and this is Lisa figure to calculate the energy consumption in this plasma reactor. And also the gas source element will be measured by the FTR spectrometer. Oh, and I forgot one thing is that the feed gas of the plasma reactor is argon gas. Before the experiment, before the discharge, we will use a vacuum pump to extract all the air in the container and use argon gas to fill up in the container to make the gas almost argon. And here is the FTR spectrum of during the plasma discharge. And you can see there are some nitrogen containing, like nitride monoxide gas in the gas phase. Even we use a vacuum pump to extract the air before the discharge, there is still some air contamination during the plasma discharge. And also, like carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide also exist in the gas phase. It's because of oxidation of the carbon material. And in addition to this species, we can find the sulfur dioxide during the plasma discharge is because of thermal decomposition of the sulfuric acid during the plasma discharge. And here, in the right-hand side of the figure, you can see the sulfur dioxide concentration variation with the treatment time. The sulfur dioxide concentration enhances quickly at the beginning of the plasma discharge and staying stable after 10 minute treatment. And here is a carbon characterization. This one is about the Raman spectrum. The ID of Ig in the Raman spectrum shows the defect information on the carbon surface, and the higher value ensure more defect on the carbon surface. Here, here you can see the value slightly reduced. It can say that the defect reduced, but the change is not apparently. So we think the plasma might not change the defect on the carbon surface. So, and this one is XRD spectrum. This broadened band in this XRD spectrum refers to the structure of the carbon material. The shape of the peak didn't change, means the crystallinity of the carbon didn't change by the plasma discharge. So we have a conclude that compared to the initial carbon, the plasma treatment didn't give any damage on the carbon structure. Here is the XPS spectrum. When this one is a survey scan of the XPS spectrum, it shows there are oxygen, carbon, and sulfur on the material. And we also calculate the each element density by the curve fitting of this XPS spectrum, and also we measure the element concentration by the CHN analysis. I will slightly introduce this CHN analysis. It's a kind of a combustion method. It just use like burning the material and use gas chromatography to measure the sulfur dioxide or carbon dioxide gas concentration to determine the sulfur and oxygen and carbon density on the material. And you can see both of them shows oxygen and sulfur are enhanced after the plasma treatment. And here it shows the more detail of the element on the carbon surface. The narrow scale of in the XPS spectrum shows firstly shows all the sulfur on the carbon surface are contributed by the sulfonic group production. And also you can see this figure shows in addition to the sulfonic group production, the COH and OH group are also generated by the plasma treatment. And because I said that we are generating the carbon-based catalyst, so we need to measure the catalytic performance of this sulfonated carbon material. And I will slightly introduce about this cellulose hydrolysis process. So when we use cellulose, put it into the liquid and heat it to like 100 centigrade, and it will be decomposed to the fructose, glucose, and also the glucose actually will further decompose to the HMF and other organic acid. In this experiment, we will put the cellulose and my treated carbon in the water and heat it to the 150 centigrade and for 24 hours, and use TOC analyzer and HPLC to measure the cellulose conversion and glucose and other reduced sugar yield. And here, firstly about the glucose yield and cellulose conversion change with the plasma treatment time. We can see like the catalytic performance of the treated carbon enhanced with the plasma treatment time. And around 20 minutes, we get the 35.5% glucose yield, which means it's higher than our previous research. So we can say that the DBD plasma reactor has a promising result on the carbon sulfonation. And yeah. And also because recyclability is also a very important factor on the catalyst. So we measure the recyclability of our sulfonated carbon material. And you can see the glucose yield slightly reduced, but didn't reduce too much after the second and even in the third use. So we can see this material has a good recyclability on the catalytic performance. Yeah, so this conclusion is a DBD reactor with discharge with carbon is a promising design for amount of producing the sulfonated carbon material. And we also need to improve this reactor because the contact area is also seems like limited. And yeah, that's all my presentation. Thank you for your.
Slide before the conclusions
This one?
on the recyclability.
Mhm.
So apparently you're saying after 3 cycles, you still have a good catalytic performance. If you do any statistical analysis to compare the cycles, like did you do any? Because you mentioned that it wasn't much of a difference from the first cycle to the second cycle. Did you do any statistical analysis to back up that statement to say, okay, it's not significant?
We measure the structure of the.
No, I mean the results. No, because this is about recyclability, and apparently there are 3 cycles. After 3 cycles, it was still performing well. So you said that the difference between the first and the second cycles was negligible. It was not much of a difference. And then after the first cycle, when you did the second time, it was still okay in terms of performance. I was asking if you did any statistical analysis, maybe p-test, f-test, if you did any statistics to be able to say, okay, the difference is significant or not.
Actually, this is my first time to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Thank you for your comments.
I don't think there are any questions you might say.
One,
Yeah, sure, go for it.
imagine the future work improving the energy efficiency of the reactor. So you mean now Korean the energy efficiency is very low. Yeah. So how much?
It's like around 80 watt.
18 watt.
80 watt.
80 watt. So no.
So yeah, that's because that's because the power source we used our AC power source. It will cause more loss of the energy. So next step we will use a pulse power source.
Oh.
It will reduce the power consumption, I think.
So how much Korean energy?
If we use pulse power source, the power consumption might be reduced to 5 watt. So the efficiency will be very high.
Okay.